Steve Jobs once stated that design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works. A wonderful evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are privileged to welcome all of you to RevolUX 2.0 powered by PSN. I am Dushani Gamage and I will be your moderator for this evening. RevolUX is an inter-university user interface and user experience. Simply as you know, a UI/UX Designathon organized by the IEEE student branch of University of Colombo School of Computing in collaboration with IESEC in University of Colombo. RevolUX is organized for the second consecutive time with the aim to improve UI/UX skills of all undergraduates in Sri Lanka. So taking you through the agenda for today, we will be starting off with a very insightful session conducted by our guest speaker today. And afterwards, we have something exciting for all of you where we will be testing your knowledge gain. So next up, we will be briefing you about the event timeline of RevolUX workshop series and how you can register. Also, if you take part in the quiz session, you will get a chance to get your hands on a valuable gift. So getting back to today's session, we will be discussing about the UI/UX industry, the challenges, the requirements, and all other necessities you require when you step into this industry. So to enlighten us with his knowledge in this field, today we have a very special guest with us. He is a UX design architect at Virtusa Corporation who has more than 6 years of experience in the UI/UX designing field. And he is a visiting lecturer at NIBM campus of Sri Lanka. Not only UX architect, this individual is a podcaster, a public speaker, also a blogger, and a photographer. So let us all welcome Mr. Muditha Batagoda to this session. Welcome, sir. Over to you.
Thank you so much. So good day, everyone. Welcome everyone again to this session where we discuss how to build innovative products using design thinking. So in this discussion, we'll be looking into how to understand what is human experience design, how we can design better for humans, so how we can create products for humans, and then we'll try to understand what is the design thinking process of how to use this industrial process in your project or product that you're going to work with. And then we'll look into a case study of how to practically see how we can actually use design thinking process. On this case, we'll be using the PillPack startup, which was started in 2018, and it was acquired by Amazon eventually by $750 million US, which is an amazing story. And then we will look into how to design your solution for a better experience. When we start this, or when we consider human experience design or how we can work with humans, we kind of need to understand this. User experience design or human experience design didn't fall from a tree and like for Albert Einstein like that. For Albert Einstein, even the people who were at the Renaissance ages, it didn't fall from the tree or it didn't fall from the sky. For us, it was there in our human lives as well. Humans were the founding fathers of the human experience design. To be, taking you on the journey, actually the word human experience design was never encountered in our lives when you were working or when you were born. But the thing is, it was there in the environment. People were knowing what was human experience design. The earlier wordings of user experience was mingling with the spacing, or if you are very familiar with the word feng shui, I think there was a huge boom in feng shui a couple of years previously in Sri Lanka, and then kind of fade away like everything else. But if you know Feng Shui, it is all about the spacing and how the arrangement should happen to make a betterment of your life. So that is where the human experience came in. And then we fast forward our track into Renaissance age, and then the age of, automobiles, and then came the age of, everyone knows is Steve Jobs, Xerox, Apple, Microsoft, and the PC era, where we start talking about the user experience or creating a better, engagement with the application that we are working with and towards a human. At that age, we start calling this user friendly. If you can remember, if you are there on those ages where if you are working in the start of 2000 or 2006 to 2010, you know this word called, we want to create user-friendly website. It is just responsive applications where you have these buttons and elements which are aligned in a proper manner where the user can kind of understand and go through the applications. But it was kind of a messy thing at that time. If you remember the .NET era, it was fun. But the real involvement on user experience happened in 1989 to be exact, when the Don Norman start looking into it. He called Don Norman as the father of user experience. He came up with the concept of usability, and then we move into user experience, and then now we are talking about human experience. We actually, to be honest, we use different wordings to explain how we interact with other objects or other humans. I use human experience designs because the word human experience design to make sure that everyone understands who we are dealing with. Then the bigger question, the most commonly used word, user experience design. So in this word, one of the biggest, or let's say commonly misused word in the industry is the word called UX, or in this case, the user experience design, because there are, if you Google to be in certain cases, if you want to Google user experience design, you'll be hearing certain terminologies and you'll be seeing certain pictures which regards to this word. So what is user experience design? It is not just experiencing something when you're experiencing with your hands, senses, eyes, or anything. It is to have the holistic understanding of all aspects of the interaction and preserving the experience afterward. When we talk about user experience, we say, okay, I like to touch a camera. It's really user friendly. You think that, okay, engaging with an application, maybe you or something, and that is user experience. It is not like that. User experience happens all the time. Now, when you're sitting here, you're experiencing something. You're looking at my face, you're looking at the screen, you're seeing a black and white picture where there's a very old man with a gray hair in a dark background. You might be feeling something, right? Your emotion, your thoughts, the way you sit, the humidity in the room, everything is user experience. And what you're focusing is part of it. It is not just something that you interact with at the given moment. It is the whole aspect or holistic understanding of where you are, what you're working with, how you're working with. It is to understand, we kind of divide user experience into 3 levels. Not levels per se, but 3 areas to make a proper understanding. We call it before experience, beforehand experience, and interaction experience, and preserved experience. These 3 are the combination of the word called user experience. Why do you might be wondering, okay, this guy is talking about beforehand experience, interaction experience, preserved experience. This guy is crazy. No, it's not like that. If you really think about it, assume this scenario. I just want to pitch this correctly before going into anything else, because if you don't understand the concept of user experience in a much more broader manner, then there is no point of going forward. So let me help you to understand this. Assume a scenario where you go to get medicine, or where you go and buy food, which is kind of common in Colombo, where you are, wherever you are in the world, where you are if you are in Sri Lanka even, it is kind of common, right? You go and order food. You order food from the application itself. If there is a manual process, and if someone tells you, okay, I found this really good app, I just want you to check it. And what they send you is a link or something that tells you about the app. So what you do is you do your research and try to get as much as details about it, and try to ask other people. This is called kind of before experience. This is where you try to understand how the users are interacting with the application, what is available about this application, how how they are interacting, maybe through YouTube, maybe through articles. You try to get this experience, so you try to understand this. That is called beforehand experience, or before getting this application, and plus what you are experiencing now, which means at the manual process. And when you get the application, you download it, install it, and start working with it. That is called interaction experience. When you interact with an application, you create a certain set of emotions, which is critical for preserved experience, right? Think about this. If you go to a pottu kade, you have a chicken pottu. It's a really good. If the taste is really good, you love it. Take your friends with you, and then have it again. And when you go home, the alarms go off. You can't come out of the toilet for a couple of hours. You remember it. That is called preserved experience. The food is good, not afterwards. What happens? Your emotions tell you. Your heart will say you should go to the pottu kade. Your brain will say no. Remember, when you go to that pottu kade, that is not a good experience. When you come home, you have to stay somewhere secluded, away from your loved ones for a couple of hours, which is not good, right? That is called preserved experience, which helps us to make decisions afterwards when making an interaction with anything. It can be a human, it can be a device, it can be anything that you interact with. So as I told earlier, Don Norman came up with this idea of usability. He was initially a psychologist, and then he became a UX architect, of how to see other people interact and create meaningful and delightful experiences, which is understandable and discoverable for humans. So this is where we start with usability. In Sri Lanka, we started user-friendly and then usability, and now we still call it user experience, but in certain cases, we came up with this word called human experience. So this is the foundation that you need to understand if you are creating a product or service for humans. The word user experience itself, if I start telling about user experience, you might be wondering, okay, what's the big deal, right? The user experience is just a word. You don't have, there are many disciplines that doesn't use the word user experience, but it is actually isn't true. If you can see the diagram on the left-hand side, you'll be able to see many disciplines comes under the word user experience. Our whole life depends on the experiences that we have to make decisions to avoid or to interact again and again with a particular application, product, or service. I know this session is all about preparing you for the what is gonna come next. But the thing is, I want to do something more than just telling you something theoretical. You need to understand something. right? If you consider, who you are dealing with, you need to understand humans. I know here some of you might be engineers, or some of you might be thinking of becoming an engineer. Some of you might be designers now, graphic designers, user experience designers. We have this very cheap word called UI and UX designers. Someone, right? It can be mix of everything. It can be either pure UX development, BAs, project managers, QAs. If you might be a student who are in love with technology. Anyone who want to create the next big thing in the world has to understand one fundamental thing. As you can, I really hope you can see this picture on the left-hand side. If you look at these people here, you'll be able to see different colors, different ethnicities, different beliefs, different shapes and sizes, different ages, different jobs, maybe different disciplines. These are the people that you are going to create a product for. Humans are extremely complex. If you think about yourself right now, if I say, oh, okay, humans are extremely complex, you're very, no, it's not like that. If you think about yourself, and you say, do you know yourself? You might say, yeah, I know myself. Nobody else know better than me. But there are things that you don't even know about yourself, right? Think about your parents. Think about your brother, sister, siblings, maybe loved ones, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, if you have, or husband, if you have. Do you know them? You might be thinking like, oh yeah, we know them. I have been living them for like 10, 15, 30, 40 years with them. Yeah, I know them. But the real thing is, you actually know partially. So if you think about it, you know a little about them. There are many things that you don't know from the people you know, right? Your friend, your best friend. You might say, okay, I know this person. I don't know, but actually you don't know a lot about this person. And think about people that you really don't know at all, have never met, and you are going to create a product or service to them. This is what we are trying to achieve, to sell a product to people that really needs a problem that is being solved. So this image will give you an understanding of the gravity of what actually a UX designer would go through. You might be thinking now, if you are thinking right now, maybe you might be thinking, and it is kind of a really difficult task, right? Really cumbersome. You have to think a lot. You have to do certain things. You have to understand humans. Yes, obviously, yes, you have to understand humans. That is in our nature. You just have to polish it up. And then kind of use this skill of understanding other humans in a much more meaningful manner. But the actual meaning of this slide is not just to tell, all these things about understanding other humans and all. It is to change the first thing. We say, whenever we come up with a product or service, or when you go to a presentation, we say users. This is one of the most underrated word in the whole world. Who are the people that talks about humans as users? One is illegal drug. You say drug users, right? Not drug humans. We never say that. And the software industry, main industry, one of the biggest industries in the world, say users. Obviously, if you read the book Hook, if you know about manipulation, if you know Innovator's Dilemma, if you have read the Innovator's Dilemma, I'm telling a couple of random books that aligns with this, so you can actually search them afterwards. You will understand why we are calling humans as users, but it is one of the most illegal, underrated words in the world, saying this it is taking out the human factors of the actual humans by saying them users, drug users or software users. Let's not have that practice when you're presenting, but try to think what you saw in the earlier picture, don't call these people as users. Think like these people are actually humans, like you, have thoughts, feelings, have necessities, have their own problems that need to be solved, which we are trying to solve. And which means that we are designing for humans, not users. Humans should be the one that we should be considering when creating products and services. If you look at these humans in a holistic manner, their behaviors will tell a little about their experience. You'll be able to see how they are behaving, but you will not be able to see their experience. So how can you manage this? I'm taking this very slowly because design thinking process is highly dependent on the following word, which is called the empathy. First of all, we need to understand empathy before just going running here then and saying, okay, you need to understand the design thinking process. First of all, any human, we are born with empathy. We have, okay, rather than talking very tactically about empathy, there is a misconception most of the time, in designing stuff, when you go and tell, I want to do something, we usually mix empathy with sympathy. Same, right? Same. Podi වෙනසයි තියෙන්නේ. Empathy, sympathy. පොඩි ප්‍රශ්නයක්. It is actually not, right? What's the difference? Empathy is to put yourself in someone else's point and understand what they are feeling and understand what they are doing and why they are doing it. Sympathy is to feel for them, right? අකුලේ කට්ටක් කරුණාම ඔයාගේ යාළුවගේ hina වෙලා ඉතින් හොඳම යාළුවගේ නම් ඉස්සෙල්ලා hina වෙලා පස්සේ අහනවා රිදෙනවත් කියලා. That is called, and then එයාට එයා අඬනවනම් සමහරට වාත් අඩන්න පුළුවන්, which means that you are sympathizing with this person. අනේ පව්. In English we say අනේ පව්. We feel sorry for you. That is called sympathization. We feel bad. That is emotions taking over what you're making decisions, which means that you can't make decisions correctly because of your emotions. Because of your emotions, you become biased to certain situations. So don't think sympathetically, start thinking empathetically. It's a big word, right? How to do this? I think my presentation is on the way for you. Okay. But so how can we do this? Before starting or thinking about a process, we need to be human. Seriously, right? What is he talking? Be human. Yes, we are humans, but we are not thinking human. We need to think human before we start looking into technologies. How to understand empathy? First of all, if you have $1 million idea, you might be having wonderful ideas right now. If our country is having a huge problem, financial situations are on the, it's in a very dire situation. If you are creating $1 million product, now is the time. And I really want to help you guys. And this is, I think one of the ways I can help you is to make you understand empathy. What you see on the right-hand side in the picture, which is called an empathy map, which is kind of a complex mapping where we try to understand how the humans interact with the product or service. I brought this map into very beginning of the session because I want you to understand how to deal and how to understand the problem statements, the actual pains, and what are they trying to achieve. First of all, for any problem, or if you think if you are going to create a product or service to any situation, it has a set of users who's going to use it. In this case, set of humans that you are going to use it. First of all, we need to understand who are we dealing with, in this case, empathizing. If you take a simple example, right? Some of you may have, most of you may have a Facebook as a, maybe Instagram, that's a hip one these days, Instagram accounts. Not everyone has an Instagram account. Take that idea into your head, which means that there are a set of people who use Instagram for different reasons. Some of you may use Instagram to connect with people, see what other people are doing. Some of you may use Instagram for your business work. Maybe you're doing a business, maybe you're doing a small shop, starting your own business. You're using Instagram for that. And you might be using Instagram for religious reasons. There are different reasons if you start looking into this product, which means that Instagram is also looking into these people, which means that they are trying to understand who they are dealing with. For your product and service, you need to understand the same concept of who you are dealing with. Why do we need to do this? If you create a product and service for something that is not needed, your product is no longer usable, right? Which means that if you consider the market nowadays, more than 90% of the products are being bought by people and never being used again. First time use, done. Even never been downloaded by anyone, because we don't understand who we are dealing with or who we need to empathize. And we need to understand what they are doing, and then what do they see, and then again what are they saying. I'm just going through very quickly because I'm gonna explain everything holistically, and what do they do, and what do they think and feel, what do they hear, pains, gains, and what they really want to achieve. By understanding empathy, all these cases, these are mostly highly theoretical areas, which I don't want you to burden yourself a lot with. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask after the session. In this case, what my objective is to make sure that by putting yourself in someone else's shoes means that you need to understand what are they doing at a given moment? What do they see? What do they hear from others? What do they do to avoid the issues? Right now, if you take an example, I will take a practical example from one of my previous engagements. When you start creating a product, once I was engaged in the aviation industry. I can't say the brand names. I can't say which products because of the the NDAs that I had. One of the experience was that I was asked to talk to a person. It was kind of an interview, right? When I had this interview with this person, he was a foreigner. I can say the country, he was Pakistani. Guy was very enthusiastic about their situation to tell me everything. The thing was, humans would say anything and everything, thinking that they have a problem. Empathy maps can divide and reduce jargon through the initial research of how they are dealing with the humans, which is really cool, right? If you don't following what I'm saying, I'm going to reiterate what I'm telling. Empathy map can help you to understand what are the real problems of a human, which is one of the key aspects when it comes to your research. If you think about a human, we always look at a human in a perspective, right? Araya bootයක් කාලා අඬනවා නම් we go and tell අනේ මචං don't worry. කෙල්ලොද පොල්ලොද ඕන තරම් ඉන්නවා මොහොතේ. ඒ වුණාට ඔබට මෙහෙම කරන්න තිබ්බා. ඔයාට මෙහෙම කරන්න තිබ්බා. අරම කරන්න තිබ්බා. මම නම් මෙහෙම කරේ. අපේ ආච්චි මෙහෙම කරේ. අපේ සීයා මෙහෙම කරේ. That's that poor person. If that poor person can't apply anything what you're telling, what's the point? Through empathization, there will be no perspectives of looking at a problem. You'll be looking at problem through the user's point of view, or in this case, the human's point of view. That is the goal of having empathy. Otherwise, what will happen in a development or an engineering scenario? What will happen? If you look at a problem from an engineer's perspective, if you're a coder, if you're an engineer, you might be a superb one. If you're a designer, you might be a superb designer. You'll be looking from your angle, which means your culture, your ethnicity, and your family background, your friends, your education, everything plays a part, which means that you're creating a product which is kind of relevant to you, which you fall in love with. But the users might have a little use of it, which means that at the end of the day, your products will fail, or product will fail, or your project will fail. So to avoid it, you need to first practice practical empathy. There's actually a book called Practical Empathy. If you have time, just read it. You'll be a better human. Like, you don't need to be a software engineer or a designer or someone else. You can be a better human by just reading that book. You just have to Google it. It will be there. Just read it. Then you'll be able to understand the concept of empathy. Because if I start talking about empathy, I can go on for 8 to 9 hours. It's not gonna happen here, because we have to have a conversation about the design thinking process. But first of all, before any process, try to understand humans through empathization. And we come to this very nice buzzword called design thinking. Everyone loves to say we use design thinking process in our project. It's a cool thing, actually. But the thing is, have you ever wondered why we use design thinking process in your project? Oh, why do we need to understand, or why do we need to know this before going to your projects? Why do we need to understand design thinking process? The design thinking process is a process where it structures the activities that you have to do in a meaningful manner, where it allows you to take one and then second, third, and fourth task, which help you to complete a particular goal in a given time with ease. Hope everyone understood it, but if you don't understand anything, please let me know. I can assist you on that. But in the general understanding, you need to understand the design thinking process is a process that helps you to structure what you do in design. UX designers use this principle or design thinking process in any case where, if it is a project which is starting from the scratch, which is something that you are very much familiar with, if it is a project or a product which is starting as a revamp, or if it is a project or a product that you have to do kind of a feature addition, we can use design thinking process in different levels or aspects, which is something that I'm not going to speak right now, but you can get the overall idea through the understanding of the design thinking process. So the design thinking process goes through the following 5 steps, which means that it will start with the discovery, where we start learning about the focus groups, and then we start defining, or we will understand the key problems, and we will generate the problem statement, which is one of the key things that you can do. And then we start defining what are the the features that you are going to have, and then we start ideating the features in a much more meaningful manner. We start ideating what are the possible solutions that we can give, and then we prototype the best possible solutions, and we test these solutions with the focus groups to make sure that we are aligned with the goals and needs of the user. We'll take the design thinking process in a practical manner with the case study of the peer pack. To the background of the peer pack, it is a pharmaceutical application, and it was done in 2018 initially, and it was acquired by Amazon for 750 million US dollars. It was a startup idea. They bought it up for a very short time, and people got really interested in it, and Amazon was very quick enough to acquire the business with the brand name itself. Now it's under Amazon now. PillPack use the design thinking process when come to their business. Very interesting, right? PillPack was a very small company. They use design thinking process to bring that small idea into a very interesting business where they got rich very, very quickly. It's a couple of years, but by the way, but the thing is, they became very rich, very wealthy in a given short time. So if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a designer who really loves business, if you're a coder who are really thinking about the next big thing to help our country even, it will be really helpful for you to understand, first of all, understand the design process. That will help you to create a very interesting, meaningful, and a delightful experience to the users that which is going to be sold in billions of dollars. In this case, billions of dollars. So we'll start with the very first item on the design thinking process, which is the discovery process. In the discovery process, we start learning about the users, which means that if take Philpack, okay, all right, yeah, it's not there. We'll first of all talk about the items available. If you are doing a research, if you are going to the discovery process, what you should be doing. You have a timeline. There you have to manage your days and all. But in the discovery process is one of the critical processes in your design thinking process on your project. Here, we will conduct user interviews, stakeholder interviews, surveys. You can create metrics. You can do a competitor analysis. You should be able to understand the focus groups. You can do observations, or you can kind of manage everything under the sun if possible, but make sure that your timeline is fixed for it. Mainly use at least 3 to 4 tools and techniques from the discovery process to gain an understanding about the users. Most common methodologies are the user interviews, stakeholder interviews, and surveys, and you can do competitor analysis. And again, you can do observation sessions where you see the users in their real habitat. Let's go to the research that has been done by Philpack. It was primarily done for United States. As you can see, 40 million American adults take more than 5 prescriptions per day. That's a huge number, right? There's a business there. And then 50% of the Americans don't take their medicine as prescribed. They might forget it. They might ignore it. They might not have time. They might not have a reminder, which means that they get sick often, or they might fall into the same condition again and again. And 130 billion US dollars wasted on the expense of medical insurance every year, which means that it's a huge sum of money which is wasted on expenses on medical insurance, which means that if you consider healthcare, it's a huge industry. This is some statistics regarding one country. If you think about the whole world, this is one of the biggest areas where you can innovate. There are many areas, other areas. Health sector is one of the sectors that you can kind of focus on if you are innovating certain things. And think about our way of doing it. This is I'm going to talk about the US way. You can align how you are thinking about the business even, right? So we always go to the pharmacy whenever we are prescribed certain set of pills to our sickness. We go to the pharmacy, you stay on the queue. The person, when you give the prescription, they will check the availability, and then you will buy them mostly offline, because if you think about our country, people don't buy online a lot, but now it's kind of changing. But initially, if you consider our basic usage, we go to the pharmacy most of the time and then buy. And then we kind of get into trouble in certain areas. First one is you have to, kind of waste your time a lot, right? Staying there, you have to go there, you have to stay there, you have to wait in the queues, you have to think about your health, everything, right? That's a huge pain point. And then when you get the medicines, in certain cases, if it is not clearly mentioned, you don't know which one to take, in which order you have to take. Sometimes there can be medical situations you have to take medicines one after another, and you can't change the order. If you don't know the order, then it will be a huge hassle. And when to take, which is a critical thing, right? And say 3 times per day after every meal, you have to take it. If it is not mentioned, you are in trouble. And then how many? Right? You might argue with in your family. You might have a situation where you argue with your family members on how many medicines to take. Right? Even your mother or father will say take half. You say no, it's prescribed as one. I have to take one, the whole pill. There are these arguments or confusions that happens inside the families, right? And you have to go to the doctor all the time to get the new prescription, and have to wait in the queue. And then if you are, have to talk to your insurance to, amend it from your bill, then you have to do that again, which means that you are wasting time and money again. If you think about this whole process in the actual life for business, it's a very small area, right? That is where the innovation happens in a business. Every business, right? Think about all these processes in the world, food, pharmaceuticals, travel, tourism, everything has a process, right? Government, non-government, everyone has processes. This is just one single process that actually worth 750 million, which is cool, right? Think differently, do your research. If you do a research, you can find these kind of things. If you do the discovery phase, you can find these kind of things happening inside the business, where you can actually pitch a really good business idea, where you can come up with a really good end result. And when you understand what are the problems in the the health sector, in this case in buying medicine from the pharmacy, you'll be able to understand, okay, these are the problems. So who are these people, who are these set of focus groups that are engaged with this problem, right? For any problem, there is a user, right? There are particular set of users who has these problems. In this case, the people who face problems because of the manual process is the patients, pharmacists, caregivers, doctors, and health insurance organizations. All these people waste time and money just because they have to wait in a queue with a manual process, which means that you have great potential when it comes to business. So how do we understand who are behind this? You can ask questionnaires, you can put surveys, you can do observation sessions, you can wait in a queue and see, right? Who are coming into the queue? Why do they come to the queue? What are they doing? Who's being affected? You can get this understanding. You can ask questions from people. There are multiple questions from people. You can ask open-ended questions. You can ask close-ended questions to make sure you understand who you're dealing with. When you understand who you're dealing with, it is really easy for you to determine what are the problems that are associated with these people. And you can get rid of the other unnecessary things that you encountered in the discovery phase. When you first understand the problems, when you read about the domain, when you understand the process of existing process, who are engaging with it, and we can start working with personas. In this case, starting with empathy map will be the ideal way, because in your research, in the discovery phase, you understood a lot about the users. Then you can start adding them into the empathy map, and then you can start creating user journeys where you don't start with user journeys initially, but create personas and then journey maps. Yeah, this guy's talking about some wordings that we really don't understand, except for empathy map. Even the empathy map is kind of gibberish, right? Don't worry. I have shown you a sample of empathy map. and explain what is empathy and how to put there. But what is a persona? Persona is a representation of set of people who are suffering from a particular problem that requires a solution. The persona represents the whole set of people under a group of one, or a singular person represents a set of people who has the problem, which means that a persona can be one single person, but it's actually not. If you really don't understand what I'm telling, it is like your badge ref. That when you have a problem, හැමෝම ගිහිල්ලා කියන්නේ නැහැ ඩීන්ට අපිට ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා ජනෙල් වලින් එවිලා දෙතකොට if you have a huge batch containing 500 600 students හැම ජනෙලෙන්ම ඩීන් කියලා කතා කරන්න ගත්තොත් it's not going to happen, right? He will close doors and think the world has gone mad. But you have this one representative. He will go there, he or she will go there. Either sometimes you have 2 reps just to make sure that someone, it depends on the culture, but if you have 2 reps, both of them will go and then speak about the problem. That is the exact concept of a persona, where it represents a set of people through one singular person which has set of problems, or maybe one single problem or set of problems which has common behaviors and wants and needs. Common set of behaviors, common set of wants and needs, and common set of problems, which is understood by a persona. And when we create these personas, we have a couple of methodologies of creating personas, but I'm trying to holistically get you understanding of the personas that you have run through. And we create user journeys. What is user journey? What is these guys talking about? These guys talking about a user journey. Actually, yes. Think about a product or service that you use. I like food for some reason. Every time when I go to a presentation, I talk about food. So we'll take Uber Eats, right? When you talk about Uber Eats, it's a journey that you take with the application, right? You switch on the application or you click on the icon, the application loads, you browse for a particular food or a beverage that you want to, and then select it, pay for it, close the application. Don't close the application until the person or the driver who's taking the food comes to you, and then pay the, give a tip, pay, or pay online beforehand and give a tip and give a rating and close the app, which is called a journey. Every journey has a starting point. Whatever you do has a journey, right? Even now you are in a journey for the day, right? You wake up, you brush your teeth, you don't brush your teeth, you wash your face, get your food, breakfast, then got lunch. Now you are sitting or standing or sleeping, hearing to me, which is interesting. And then after this, you have dinner and then talk with your friends. Maybe you have work, maybe you have your studies, and maybe your exams are coming, you're doing your work, and then you go to sleep, which is a journey for a day, which is same as the user journey explained in the designs. So the user journey take you through the whole process one by one. We have interaction point of view. We see the user journeys help you to understand what would the user would go through if they are going through a particular process. Let's try to understand the user journey's empathy map and the journey map through simple usage of the application. As you can see, the PillPack people, before creating this product, they went through existing applications, right? They saw what is there. They actually did practical work of how the people would go through. This is the journey that the people will go through. They take medicine, they fill the cabinets where the fillers that they have for a week. In most cases in Sri Lanka, you might not see these things at your household, but in other countries, they have these methodologies of filling your, there's a fill cabinet where you can fill up the cabinet for your usage. Actually helps you a lot. And if you can see the prescriptions here, take 2 tablets in the evening. That doesn't make much sense, right? It doesn't help you a lot. You have to remember it all the time. You have to remember this. These are physical things that you have to go through. If you are creating a product, please go through the existing process to understand what are the problems that you will face in the uh, current environment and how they are working in the current environment and what are the things that they would go through. This is called observation by going through the journey of the users. Plus, you'll be able to see how the other organizations are doing, which is part of discovery, which we call the competitor analysis, where you analyze how the other organizations are working. As you can see, PillPack has CVS, which is one of the biggest pharmacies in the world even, and in United States. These can be competitors. I'm not going to explain a lot about competitors because I want to explain the design thinking in a much more meaningful manner. But in your case also, if you are creating a product or service, think about your competitors. Who are the people that you're going to engage or do business with, who will be doing the same thing. If you don't understand the concept of competition, try to understand this. I will speak in Sinhalese if you don't mind. If you have any issues in speaking in Sinhalese, I will use both the languages, so English and Sinhalese, to make sure that everyone understands. If you think you are a rich person and you want to open a shop that has normal stuff, which means sugar, flour, toothpaste, toothbrushes, normal shop in your village. If you are in the town, and just before you build the plan, you put the stuff in the shop and everything, and you wait until the opening day. In the opening day, when you come and open the shop with the auspicious time, you see the next door neighbor who was very silent has already opened a shop on the opposite side of the road. What will happen? Because you get furious, right? Why didn't I do a market research? Why didn't I do research before doing this? If my neighbor has the same products and products, food items, beverages, same as mine, which means that the people will come, the people who is coming to the shops will be divided among both of us, right? Which means that I haven't done my research. I have to do my research before getting into creating product. And I need to understand one thing. What is a unique value proposition? Again, a new word. Unique value proposition is what you are doing uniquely that other businesses doesn't have, which is really critical, right? Then think about your product idea. ඔයාගේ product and service product and service your friends come to get some work done by you. Why? Because other people doesn't have that unique value, right? You might do the work really nicely. You might ask them no money. You might ask them for a little amount of money for your work. Right? Either you're world-renowned. That's why people come to you, right? That's your uniqueness. That's your unique value. The products also have this unique value when it comes to helping out humans. That's why if you go and check, I don't know whether it's now available, but if you go and check flashlight application in maybe App Store, Play Store, you'll be able to find thousands of applications. But there are certain applications which are highly rated, right? It's very recommended. That's the same thing, but it is highly recommended by everyone. Why? Because people who are doing that product, giving a unique value to the users for the same amount of money or fee. That's why the people use that product. That's why they buy that product. You need to have a unique value proposition when it comes to products. And since you're working with the development teams, the BAs, the QAs, the PMs, the POs, you need to first of all should create a storyboard. If you are creating solutions, you need to create a storyboard. Why should you create a storyboard? Why? Storyboarding is a concept which is done in 1970s and 80s by Hollywood. just for an insight for you, Storyboard will help you to gain an understanding on how the people will interact and with the existing product and what are the problems that they're having and how you can pitch in your product to the users, which is kind of really, really interesting. Storyboarding, we say, if you consider a movie even, right? It has a hero and it has a villain, and there is a person who is in the problem and the hero comes and saves the day for this person, right? Same as that, the storyboard has a problem and then a person who is facing the problem and a solution that can help you to create a better or a meaningful engagement, which is really insightful for the users. So how can you make this? It's just sketches that you can make through paper, create the whole story. The story of how a person is struggling with issues when trying to work with a prescription. And then they see this application on the internet. And then they talk to the people who are in the field, and then they order the product and it will come to you, and the life is very easy, and it will give you reminders and all, and it will allow you to take the medicine on time. This will help you to create the overall understanding of how the user journey should be while creating your products and service. And then you should, this is a sample for product user journey map. I think I'll be able to share this after the presentation. In the user journey, as I told you, it will take you through the user's interaction journey of the application, being awareness, getting the awareness, and being part of the usage, and doing the preparation and the shipping, and then the enjoyment of the service. And there we will specifically look into human emotions, their thoughts, their problems, and what are the solutions that we can give to the users to make sure that the users are being happy with the provided solution. Here, what we do is initially we come up with certain ideas or set of ideas, and we start looking into possible solutions. We start brainstorming quickly and effectively. We start brainstorming. We get together, we start brainstorming, and we create. We can do a brainstorming session to come up with possible ideas. What can we do here? What are the things that we can do? What are the new elements that we are bringing in to the business? Through ideation, we can come up with certain solutions.
Did you know 150 million Americans take medication every day? So each person has to stand in line at the pharmacy, sort their pills, and remember to fill their prescriptions over and over and over. That's why we created PillPack. We're a new kind of pharmacy. We sort your medication by date and time and deliver it directly to your door.
But I take different kinds of medications at different times of the day.
No problem. We organize your meds for you, so now you don't have to waste time sorting your pills.
Sure, but can you do vitamins?
We can add those too.
But I hate paying for shipping.
Well, you'll love PillPack. Our service is free. You only pay for your medications.
And you take my insurance.
Yep. We work with most plans.
And you handle all my refills.
We work with your doctors to get you your medication every month.
What about my inhaler?
We're a full-service pharmacy, so we can handle your inhaler and any other pharmacy items. Every day, people across the country are saving time and staying healthy with PillPack. Switch to a simpler pharmacy today. PillPack, an Amazon company.
As you saw in this video, we come up with a couple of ideas which can actually work, right? These things, okay, we are going to make the sorting effective. We are going to make sure the users get a particular device there. You can actually take out which relevant medicine for the time, and then you can drink it. And then it will give you reminders. Or we can give a full-scale solution that it will ship from your pharmacy even. These kind of ideations through brainstorming, we see what are the possible solutions that we can actually fit into the business with a given time, and then we look into, if there are medical instruction, what should we do? Okay, we have to add that. And then how the refill should happen, which is really important, right? If the user has to go to the pharmacy to do the refill, then it is not going to work, right? How we can manage that. And then how the sorting should happen, in which case, as you can see, as you saw, there were many scenarios that you have to go through to make the sorting work. And then how the delivery should happen. And the most important thing is the availability of the customer services, which provides you the service. We have to think all of them and start brainstorming. When you brainstorm, you come up with loads of ideas where you create a certain mapping of how the process should happen. In this case, he can go either mobile or web or smartwatches, anywhere, anything, depending on the focus group's needs and wants. And then through innovation, you'll be able to create these products and services a reality through designing innovative solutions to the user, where we start in the prototyping phase. In prototyping phase, we can do paper prototypes, you can do detailed prototypes, you can do mock-ups to make sure the users would understand what you're doing, and you can show these prototypes to the users and see, okay, is this solving your problem or is this not solving your problem? As you can see in the PillPack case, they had both physical and digital products, which means that your innovation should not be limited to a digital product that you can just sell. It can be holistic, which means that you're giving the whole package through design. You can design these things using cardboards and show these to the user. You can design the interactions through paper and show these things to the customers. There are many other ways that you can practically see these things through a workshop or something like that. You can get a more understanding. But if you look into the solution point of view, the users can really understand the business and make your product a simple, safe, easy, and a convenient one. The PillPack was able to make the business simple and innovative by going and understanding a really simple process and validating this process to make it a very simple, interactive, easy to understand, and innovative one. So let's look into their final solution.
PillPack is a new kind of pharmacy. We package your medication and deliver it directly to your door. All you have to do is tear and take your next dose. Managing your medication has never been easier. Here's how it works. Each month, we'll sort your meds, including any vitamins and OTCs, into easy-to-open packets. Need other items like inhalers, creams, or testing supplies? We can send those too. We'll work directly with your doctors and insurance to resolve any issues. We'll adjust your medication if your prescriptions change, and we'll automatically handle all of your refills so you never have to worry. If you have questions or need to make an update, our pharmacists are available 24/7. Getting started is easy. You'll need your insurance information and a list of current medications. From there, we'll handle the rest. We'll verify your account and transfer your prescriptions to our pharmacy. You'll receive your first package in just a few weeks. Now, you'll never sort your pills, never stand in line at a pharmacy, and never miss your medication again. It's your medication made easy. PillPack is a new...
Try to understand this concept. Design thinking process can help you to structure what you do, but the innovation should happen from your point of view, understanding the business, understanding the values of the business, and making sure what you pitch as a business is actually a problem solver. So there are many ways that you can kind of test this. Testing is the final part of the design thinking process. You don't have to wait until the last moment to test it, but when you're done with your prototypes, you can show them to the focus groups who are facing this problem and validate whether they have achieved their goal easily without having to learn a lot, without having to go through the application again and again, without having to end up in blockers, without having to having usability issues, accessibility issues, or having problems in understanding the application, which is really interesting when come to having a product which is discoverable, understandable, and meaningful for the users. So make sure whatever you do in a product or a service environment can help you to create a meaningful product. This is just a glimpse into design thinking process of creating innovative products, and the innovation can be brought up through proper discovery and going through the process of design thinking. But the main idea of this presentation to help you to understand the innovation part of the business, because I know that most of you guys and girls are very enthusiastic, very good at design, very good at development, very good at finding bugs, managing projects, products, and all. But the thing is, first of all, try to understand humans and start innovating. Innovation is the key to create the next big thing. If you look at people, it is not a big deal, right? It's not a big product. It is just a very small part of the whole process, which is kind of, it's like a teardrop in the whole business of pharmaceuticals, or let's say in the whole industry. But they came up with 750 million US dollars to be sold to Amazon. You can do better. I think you guys can come up with very good product ideas and use design thinking process to make it a reality. So which brings me to the end of my presentation. So thank you so much for listening in, and over to the team who is governing the session. Thank you so much, guys.
I think today you got a very unique and an important message from Mr. Muditha about designing. So thank you, Mr. Muditha Batagoda, for that wonderful and insightful session. And I'm pretty sure our audience was able to grab a lot of valuable information from you. So moving on, now is the chance for our audience to direct their questions regarding the session conducted by Mr. Muditha Batagoda through the Google form that is provided. So Mr. Muditha, the first question we have received from our audience is, are there any certifications or qualifications that we can develop before stepping into the UI UX industry?
Very interesting question, and it's very relevant question as well. I will answer this question in a different way. So before joining into UX, if you want to learn UX and earn certification, there are a few ways. One is Google UX certification. You can get it for $39, as I can remember. And then IBM certification for UX. That I think I can't remember the exact pricing on that. But if you're a student and if you want to have a really good certification at the end of your industry or your studying university life, I think you can start with Interaction Design Foundation. They have a let's say kind of budget, kind of a way of giving you the whole curriculum. They have a wide range of curriculum even. I think it's $132, but it's kind of huge for Sri Lankans again. And if you are a professional in that area, it is $192. You have to pay for professional certification, and for intermediate certification it is $132. And you can, I think they are very much flexible when it comes to providing certifications. And if you are a professional and if you have money, see what you can look into is the Nelson and Norman certification. It's for UX designers primarily, but it's kind of really expensive. If you are in a group, it will take I think nearly over 100 lakhs in US dollars, but you can work with the certification for $3,500 US dollars, excluding the exams. You have to pass at least 5 exams to do it. You get the certification, but $3,500 if you can manage, or $6,500 if you go for professional certifications. So those are the certifications, but I would highly recommend what I've told earlier. You start with, there are courses in Udemy, but I highly, even Google certification is a Udemy course. Start with Google. You can ask for financial aid there, and they will obviously provide that for you. And then look for IDM certification. And if you are very interested in having a certification with a wide range of topics, then go for Interaction Design Foundation. And if your organization, or if you are migrating from Sri Lanka to another country where you can afford, you can go for Nelson and Noble certification.
Thank you for that. And we have another question. So that is, what kind of projects should a UX developer do and maintain as a portfolio of projects when applying to UI UX positions in the industry?
Very good question, actually. There is not a word saying that what kind of projects or products that you have to do. It is the process of approach that you have taken in the problem, which you will be they will be looking into when showcasing your let's say portfolio. Having there are a few things in here. One thing, if you are starting up in UX, it is a must to have a portfolio. You can start with Dribble, Behance, or any other platform, and start creating your portfolio, which is really important. And there are nothing saying that they should do these kind of projects, or B2B projects, or B2C projects. This is nothing there's no such thing as that, like that. But if what you have done is really interesting, which means that you have done something innovative. If you have designed some a particular solution for an existing problem in a really interesting manner, and if you have presented that, have shown the process, what you have done, what is your end solution, what's your testing method in the portfolio, that gives a really good first impression to the person who interviews you, which is kind of a really interesting thing when it comes to products and services, having a portfolio. But if you think, okay, I need to do web only, don't do like that. Do web, mobile. If you have AR, VR applications, if you have done user experience for that, it is rare to find that kind of projects products in Sri Lanka. Even only a handful of companies those projects. If you want to go to big names when you're starting your career, start doing something new. Don't do conventional projects. Innovate, look into the current world problems, and try to innovate something, because for every problem there is a solution already being invented in the world, but it might not be the perfect solution. So think from that point of view and start doing projects or products, or start building your portfolio from that. And if you want to make your portfolio a better one, add shots, which means that shots can bonus shots but shots, which means like single screens. It can be dashboards, it can be mobile web screens, it can be animated screen. If it is animated, then it has a huge value. If you can do those things, it will be a plus point when you go for your interview and when you present your CV to your one of the people who will be viewing it. So that's something that you should think while you are in the university, because you have time. I'm not sure how much you work. I know it is really stressful in government universities as in private universities, but find some time that you can innovate. If you don't have the right tools, go for Figma or maybe XD. It is free. Figma is free again. You can create as much as projects as you want. You can use XD. I think XD is kind of becoming monetized when it comes to their work and pricing and all, but XD is still there. So start working with a particular tool that helps you, because I don't want you to spend lots of money, and create a really interesting portfolio that actually be kind of unique from the rest of the group. That's my advice on that.
Yeah, thank you. And we have another really interesting question. So that is, sir, can you explain about the job roles related to the field of user experience?
Very good. So in Sri Lanka, you might not see certain job roles, but in the industry, there are job roles starting from the UX researcher, and then UX designer, UX engineer, and then the hierarchy goes on for them. So starting with the associates to senior to the lead positions, and then to the architect positions, and then manager positions, and then to the director positions when come to UX. It's a fully fledged, very much hierarchy based. Like, there's a complete hierarchy. Even in Sri Lanka, there's a complete hierarchy. But in most cases, we mangle ourselves with the word called UI and UX, which is kind of a industry of weighing of ripping off the young talent in in third world countries when it comes to outsourcing and all. But if you think about the research point of view, there are titles for UX researchers, UX writers. There are UX writers even, and pure UX designers, which is really interesting. A couple of companies in Sri Lanka even provide that feasibility to become a pure UX designer, which is kind of really interesting. And when it comes to UI UX development, these are two fields actually. It goes simultaneously, tandem to one another. It goes in same line. But the thing is, UI and UX are different, areas. For UI side, the UI developers, UI engineers, and then the hierarchy goes on until the architects on UI, and then the managers and directors on UI. And then you can become full stack if you need, but it is just a fancy word when it comes to UI, but it's not being used a lot in the industry. But mainly, if you want to become a UX designer, you have to consider that if you want to start, you should have a fundamental understanding of UI first, how to do HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, if possible, Angular, front-end technologies, if you prefer. And then if you can move into UX, that will give you a total understanding of what can be developed and what cannot be developed. Or else you can move into pure UX and start from the UX point of view and become a UX research, go into research or go to design. Ideally, you should start with design and then go to research, so you have an understanding and the capability of design, which is kind of a cool, kind of a, let's say, a opportunity, like it gives you more opportunities actually when it comes to industry. So there are many titles, UX, starting from the research to design to development and then to manager positions. In the industry now, it is full-fledged, and it is being one of the highest paying industries in the world now. I hope I have given you some clarity to the question that you have asked.
Yes, Mr. Muditha, yeah, that's clear. So I will wrap up this session with one last question from our audience. So that is, do I really need good practice at coding to become a UI UX designer? Interesting question.
You don't have to be a master of code to become a UI engineer. You have to understand the fundamentals. It's either becoming a jack of all trades or become a master in what you do. You should know how to, if you are looking for UI, this is the fundamental problem between the UI and UX industries. If you want to go to UX, you need to have the understanding and the creativity of being able to design solutions and to think differently. You might be wondering, okay, I may think different, but UX designers have to engage with people, think from the people's point of view, and create solutions. UI engineers should have this understanding of creating a website. If you are a fresher, we don't expect you to be a master of coding. If you are a master of coding, that is a value-added advantage for the business or the organization that you are working. We train you to become masters. That is the value which is coming under internship. You will come to the internship to become masters of design. So in this case, or design or development. You don't have to be a master on coding, but you should know how to solve problems in development. If you want to become a UI engineer, if you want to become a UX designer, you should be able to think creatively, do innovative things, understand human, should be at least an introvert or an ambivert, not at least, but extrovert or at least an ambivert when it comes to the UX industry. But the coder, they don't interact a lot with the customers or the stakeholders, or when it comes to other humans who are focus groups. But if you just don't have to become a master at all. It's our duty to make you a master. You are a gem. You be an uncut gem when you come to the industry. It is our duty to polish you and shape you up and create a diamond which is valuable for the rest of the world.
So that's a great message that you all received, and that's it for the questions from our audience, and I hope you all got them clarified. And once again, I would like to thank Mr. Muditha Batagoda for joining us today amidst his busy schedule to enlighten us with all his experience and valuable insights. So Mr. Muditha, please accept this token of appreciation from us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you once again. By now, I'm sure all of you grabbed a lot of knowledge throughout today's session. Now, moving on, as I promised when we started the session, now we are ready to brief you about RevolUX Designathon, the timeline, and how you can register up. So starting off with the awareness session, which is happening today, we will be conducting a series of workshops, and then we will be choosing a winner and they will be awarded with valuable cash prizes. So as I mentioned, following today's event, we will have our first workshop on June 26th, the second on July 3rd, and the initial Designathon round on 8th of July, where we will be choosing our finalists. And moving on, we have a final workshop on 14th of July and the 24-hour final Designathon round and award ceremony on 16th of July and 17th of July. So to tell you more about our workshop series, the first will be happening on site, where you will gain knowledge about user persona, journey maps, and UI UX prototyping. On the second workshop, you will be introduced to low-level and high-level designing. With the final workshop, we are ready to give you insights about how to prepare for the final Designathon and then to pitch your creations. We will be opening team registrations for RevolUX Designathon very soon. So the wait is finally over. Hurry up and get your team ready and register yourselves. Also, if you need more updates about the event, you can visit the links and drop a like to our IEEE student branch of UCSC and IESEC in University of Colombo social media pages. As we come to the end of the awareness session for RevolUX 2.0, we would like to thank our guest speaker for taking up time to be here today and then to meet all our young enthusiasts. Thank you to all the participants who joined us today, and we also hope to see you all in the upcoming sessions as well. And we believe that by the end of RevolUX 2.0, each and every one of you will become an expert in UI UX designing with the relevant experience and knowledge. So thank you everyone for joining us. Stay safe and have a great night.